Okay, here we go. Might tweak this up a little bit. Of course, there's more motorcycles. Yay for that. Hi, good morning. This is Nick with another Create and Hang on Friday at 10 a.m. Now, a few things to talk about before I dive into the actual project. One, I'm very tired. It's been a very interesting week for a lot of reasons, but I just could not go to bed. Like, I knew I had to get up early. I knew I had to go do a stream, so I went to bed a little bit earlier than usual. But I was tired at 6, but when I tried to turn in like around like 10:30 or whatever time o'clock it was, my body was just like, nope, we're still fully awake. Tried reading, tried counting, just wasn't having it. Probably didn't get to bed until or actually fall asleep until like 2, 3 in the morning. Which, all right, some sleep in there, but it's not great. So, I'm a little bit tired today. So bear with me. I'm also not wearing my usual hat because it's hot. My hair, which I can see on screen, is, well, it's disastrous. But it's too darn hot. I have a fan going in the background, which hopefully you can't hear too badly. I know you're not supposed to have sources of sound near your microphones, but I will die if I don't have at least something. I don't have the AC on because that would just totally wreck the audio, but I just need something. So, bear with me as we go through all of this. With that said, I'm kind of switching up gears for the project today. Essentially, I am working on something called a dungeon creator. Some time ago in some of the other Create and Hangs, you may have noticed, I'm actually just going to turn down my music really quickly because it is super loud in my headphones, which is distracting me a little bit. We'll boost it back up for you guys so it's roughly the same level. And we'll come back over. I popped out my YouTube chat just in case. Okay, there we go. Alright, that is much better. So, I normally work on the Harry Potter RPG I'm developing, but I am just so tired right now. The creative side of my brain is just near death right now. It's barely struggling there. So I decided just to change it up with another one of my projects. If you are familiar, one of my previous projects was working on a dungeon cam. My original intention for this was to create and 3D print a little figure that would hold on to a little tiny camera so that as I moved it around through a bunch of 3D printed tiles that my D&D group could see what was going on. I thought it was going to be a cool project. I ran into a few issues, mainly that I had to get a proper exhaust system in because I'm working in a very small area. That's actually been done for a while. I just have to mount it. But then several things happened which delayed it. But then I got to thinking some time ago, why not just do it all digitally? Because we're all on the computer already. So I was wondering if I could recreate something that I could use as a tool for my Dungeons & Dragons campaigns. So this is where the dungeon creator comes in. So let me actually show you what we got here. So let's go to the desktop. So I am working in Unity. You may have seen David, one of our instructors, working on this on Mondays. He's doing a 2D game, if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty cool. Now, in my case, I'm actually not so much building a game as I am so much a tool, which is kind of interesting, but let me show you basically the idea here. So, let me click on play. Whoop, did not go through. Oh, I had to click on the program first. Alright, here we go. So, essentially, the way this works is you can move your mouse around, and it will click exactly in these increments to ensure that the tiles will line up properly. So if I left click, it basically places down a 2x2 tile. And I can keep doing this to very quickly build up an area. Now, other features that I've built in are detection. So you can see here that I can't accidentally put a tile on top of one another. So if there's any collision at all there, then I cannot put down a tile, which is pretty cool in my opinion. It took a little bit of time to get to this stage. Obviously, I'm going to need more variety of tiles, and I'm also going to need some extra tools, because I've seen some other really cool like dungeon builders, but they take a long time to put things together. I want something that is fast, easy, and will allow me to focus on the game with my players. Like I've used other systems like Roll20, which they're great. They give you a lot of options, but there's so much there that I feel like it distracts me. So I'm building something more custom for myself. Now, a few things that I do have to work on. I do have like this user interface over here. This is supposed to be a destruction like bit where you can destroy tiles. This is supposed to be used for the actual like tile placement, and then this is supposed to allow you to select specific tiles and move them around. These buttons don't do anything yet. The user interface is something I'm having a little bit of trouble with right now, because you can see that if I left click, it still clicks through the interface, and that was something that I'm trying to solve right now. And I think I'm going to work on that a little bit more today, because it's just bugging me so much. And again, it's not a bug per se, it's just the program, essentially what it's doing is it's sending out a little tiny ray, and it's trying to detect not only where to put this tile, but it's also detecting whether or not we hit buttons. The problem is the raycast is going through the button and then continuing on to the 3D area over here, which is not great. It's not what I want. So I need to figure out a way to get that to stop happening. And one of the issues that I personally run into is that I am not a programmer by nature. Programming for me is a little difficult. I'm starting to get the hang of it. I understand the basics of how everything works. The problem is that I am not super crazy familiar with Unity. Up there's some of my code there that popped up in Visual Studio, which we will get to this. Because one thing that I personally have found, I don't know if this is true for other developers, is working with developing a program is kind of like going on a treasure/puzzle hunt. Like, I know what I want the computer to do. The problem is making sure that I tell the computer in a way that it understands, that it can understand what I need it to do. So this is the Unity API, manual and scripting API. If you've never done programming before, essentially this is kind of like a bunch of puzzle pieces that do a bunch of different things, and then I have to figure out what to declare, call, create, and also throw in. It's kind of like if I have all the right puzzle pieces and I've got Visual Studio down there, and then I'm basically like taking string and I'm connecting the right puzzle pieces to things. I might create my own puzzle pieces, custom, just to fit them in. That's like when you're declaring like variables and your own stuff. But this gives you a bunch of tools and classes, and there's a bunch of other programming jargon. But this is essentially what you're working with. And in order to do anything in Unity, I have to make sure that I'm using the correct methods, the right items, and there's more than one way to do something. The thing is getting it to work. That's really what the end goal is. So I have a few ideas of how to get this to work. But I recently found out in Unity, so if we go over to user interfaces over here, Unity actually has different levels of user interface. Essentially, they've got the UI elements, which is typically what you see. Essentially what happens if we go back to Unity over here. Let's go to the actual canvas. So this is an actual physical game object that you can manipulate. So I can like select the actual buttons and whatnot. I can resize them, and it's a little bit more visual. So that way there's a little less programming involved. The problem is that usually I think this was, I'm guessing here, I could be totally wrong. I'm guessing like this is mostly used for off-screen events. Like if you go to like a save menu or a specific menu to adjust settings. I don't think this was intended to be used while on screen. So there are, it doesn't stop you from like selecting things in here, but by default your raycast can go through, and there's either a setting that I'm missing or it just wasn't built for that. I'm not sure which it is. You know, like I said, I am not the most proficient person with programming, and I still like I've meddled around with Unity before, but I am still figuring it all out. So what I need to do right now is I need to experiment and figure out what the best way to, basically what we need to do in the program is while this is running. So we have this working already. We've got the program. It's detecting these just fine. The problem is that I need to make sure that when I click over here, I need something to try and detect if my mouse, I don't know why that cursor changed. I need something to detect when my mouse hits this area here, and then to not send, to basically stop the program from putting down a tile when it's in this region. That's originally why I created this, where is it? I've got my canvas here. So this is why I created this, this area called Disable Tools. Which I don't know why the UI is so much bigger. So like that's this whole like white grayish panel. But I found in the user documentation over here that they actually have something called intermediate mode graphical user interface. And essentially this is a code-driven user interface toolkit that's intended for a tool as developers. So it's a little bit different, but it seems to have a lot more options. So I'm basically going to be trying this out to see how well this works. So I'm actually going to scroll over a little bit here. So basically, instead of working with something visual on screen, you're basically doing it almost all through code. So, and the function over here is called void on GUI, and this is basically, if you've watched any of David's videos, it is essentially, you've got different functions that control when certain things are called. Void on GUI is called just about every frame. That's why like this will not like disappear midway. I'm actually just going to copy this for right now, and we're going to tweak it a little bit. So we're going to copy that. We're going to go over to Visual Studio. And so I already have a void on GUI. That's when I was testing something out. This whole script here was essentially, it's just controlling when to change the texture types of the buttons depending on what I click on. Aside from that, it doesn't really do too much right now. So we've got void on GUI. We're going to make a background box. So we're not going to have it load applications here. I'm going to say debug.log. And we're just going to output some text to the controller here. So I'm going to say you pressed a button. Cool. And then I will say that debug.log is probably my favorite function in this entire program, because it really helps me figure out like what my code is doing. Because you can basically put just about anything in here. You can put a function, you can put text, you can even put a method if you wanted, all kinds of stuff. So it's very useful to like put that in different parts of your code to make sure it's actually working the way you want it to, which is extremely useful. You pressed the second button. Alright, cool. So we're going to save that. It's going to take a minute to update here. Uh-oh, did I forget a... Oh, I forgot a close bracket here. Very important. You got to make sure your functions have an ending bracket. Otherwise, Unity goes, oh, what? Cool. Okay, so let's play this. Alright, so there's my menu. So I can still click through this. Okay. So I'm betting these buttons still work. Yep. So these buttons work just fine. I actually do like this. It's kind of cool. The problem is that by default, this still allows the rake has to go through. So what I'm going to do now is that clearly works. I'm going to keep this in here, but I want to see if there's a function built into either, not the on GUI, but see if there's a GUI detection area to see if there's like some sort of function that I can use here. So let's go over to, let's see here. I gotta go to the scripting, I think. Also, let me just see. Label, button. So these are all the different things that you can generate with the GUI, which is great. I'm telling you, it's like a treasure hunt half the time. GUI.change. If the detected user did any action in the GUI, click the button, drag the slider, read the GUI. This gets the set to true when the user has done something. Oh, interesting. So that might be helpful. The problem is that I want to make sure that it's detecting the area of the GUI, not just the button. But I'm gonna write that down just for later reference. So it's GUI.changed. Controls, customizations, layout modes, I think it was in. Oh, that's fixed versus automatic. Extending. Compound controls. Okay, and then we're getting into skins here. Where I swear there was something that allowed me to create a like a toolbar basically. So I would probably end up using this for my actual buttons if I were to go this route. The question is if there's something that I can use here to detect when my mouse is in that area. That's the important bit. So right now I've got a GUI box, and I've got a button. Let me see something. So this basically says, so if I have this in here, this basically returns this to true to say that I'm in there. So in theory, if GUI box, loader menu, would this work in theory? I'm just going on a limb here, guys. Does it not like that? Just want to see if this would actually detect it. I think this only works for buttons, though, but I'm going to see what it says. I am in the rectangular area. Cannot implicitly convert type void to bool. Oh, so this is a string. Interesting. Oh, wait, no. Type void to boolean. Alright, hold on. Let's go over to the thing. Okay, let's go over to the scripting API and see what we can find. See, this is where I'm sure it's not just me, but this is essentially where Unity or I suspect any program can get a little crazy because it's not anything that Unity is doing wrong at all. The problem is that sometimes the way that things are categorized don't make sense to other people. Like, if I say, like, okay, you know, this set of data is called a widget, but someone else has the exact same thing, but they call it a dollop. You know, it's just making sure that I understand what Unity is trying to tell me, and sometimes the documentation is confusing. So I do wonder how that compares to other programs. Like Unreal is one that everyone keeps telling me to try. Like, it does look like they've got some cool stuff coming out with their new crazy, graphic stuff. They had that release not too long ago. My question is, how easy is it to program? I know they have like no programming, like they've got like blueprints and stuff, which seems pretty cool. But I'm wondering what the programming end looks like, because I'm sure that works just fine. But because I'm making a tool, not a game per se, I'm wondering if that's going to be limited. Well, I gotta look up. What is this thing called again? This is the IM GUI. IM GUI. Alright, let's see what we can find here. Function that is called to render and handle IAM-GUI event. I don't know if that's how you say it. The function is assigned to on-GUI handler and similar to... That must be an internal thing, because I'm not getting any classes I can use with that. On-GUI is the only function that can implement the GUI system. Alright, so that's the function that we called here earlier. Yeah, it's interesting because, like, the button type... So with the... Creates a box on the GUI layer, right? So that's what we're using right now. Box getting a texture or tooltip. Options, setting position the text in the center of the box. With positional information contained in the GUI style parameter. Huh. That might be useful. Let's see here. Content equals GUI content. This is a box. Box texture. This is a tooltip. Position the text and texture in the center of the box. Okay, so that's style alignment. Position the text below the texture. Style.image position equals image position dot. Oh, all right. So that doesn't really help me actually. I thought that would be like position of the mouse. Because basically, I have to take into account where the mouse is and if it's actually hitting it. But I don't know if this will allow me to do that. It basically just detects. I looked up other tutorials too. The problem is that I think Unity updated their user interface. So there used to be a set of classes called Event System, which would essentially handle some detection there. But now it's just called Event, and we've got this. So I don't know if there's something that I'm missing, or if they took out some functionality, which I doubt they did. Make a toolbar, make an on-off toggle, single line, make a pop-up window, vertical slider. So these are all elements that I can use. Set name, control, make a grid. I'm just seeing if there's anything I can use here. Turtle mold a window, horizontal slider, get the name. What does this do? Call back to draw GUI within a window. The function takes the ID number of the window to be drawn. Its body should contain GUI calls to display the window. Then pass to a parameter to draw the appropriate contents. Okay. Now what I'm looking for. So, what is this? Tools of the mouse. See what that's about too. GUI box we looked at. GUI.matrix. The GUI transform matrix? Okay, I think I know what a matrix is, but not the matrix. What is a matrix? Just double checking. Okay, no. Math. I gotta specify, I suppose. Matrices. An array of numbers. Okay, great. Cool. So I guess that takes into account like position in 3D space, because basically that's all position in three-dimensional space is. It's just X, Y, and Z. Okay. Okay, so that just prints the matrix. The tooltip of the control of the mouse is currently over, or which has keyboard focus. Interesting. When you create GUI controls, you can pass in a tooltip from this. Is done by changing the content parameter. When the mouse is over a control with a tooltip, it sets the global GUI tooltip value to the tooltip you passed in. Though, you know what occurs to me? Maybe instead of using a box, why don't I just create a large button that you actually can't click and just hide it? Because it seems to be able to detect if you're over it. So in theory, if I create a button to hover over that area, That might work, but I'm wondering if that's going to cut off other functionality. So that's another solution that I'm going to pay attention to. I'm going to write that down too. Use a button. Because I just need something to detect when it's over an area. You know, and it definitely looks like the button does that. What am I doing here? GUI to make a button using a custom GUI content parameter to pass in the tooltip. GUI button, new rectangle, new GUI content. Click me. This is the tooltip. Display the tooltip from the element that the mouse GUI label. Oh, so that creates a label, new rectangle, and the GUI dot tooltip. So hold on a second. So make a button using a custom GUI content parameter to pass in the tooltip. So this creates a button out of this rectangle, new GUI content. Click me. This is the tooltip. So GUI content, I guess, is just text. The icon image contain the text contain and the tooltip of this element. Okay, interesting. So basically when we call this, let me see. The tooltip associated with the content read. Get the tooltip of the GUI element the user is currently over. New GUI content, a button. This is the tooltip. Alright, let's experiment with this a little bit. This is interesting. So let's copy this. I'm going to get rid of this nonsense because it didn't do anything I needed to. So we'll get rid of all this for now. Alright, so make a button using GUI content parameter to pass in the tooltip. So it's still going to create a button of that size, but it's going to say new GUI content, click me, this is the tooltip. And that will do... Sorry, it's just... Because this is where, again, programming gets weird, because you can have things nested in each other that will then compound on each other to do various things. Like, I understand what the end result is. I'm just trying to understand what these parts of the function are. And I don't know what it is, but whenever I stream, my nose just itches like crazy. It's driving me nuts. Let me see here. GUI button. So that creates that. But we're saying it's a new GUI. Hold on. Ah! Sorry. I know, very unprofessional. Constructors. What to render and GUI style defines how to render it. Fine, I'm aware of the GUI style. Shorthand for empty content, image, text, and the tooltip of this element. So what do we mean by tooltip? Read the GUI tooltip, get the tooltip of the GUI element the user is currently over. I'm not sure if it's clicking quite right yet, but let's come over here. File, save all. Is it literally just a tip and like I'm not understanding it? All right. This is so I was thinking like the tip of a tool, not a tool tip. I think that's what it was. Alright, so it clearly detects when this is over. This is the tool tip. Okay, so that just shows some text there. I don't know why I saw that as separate for whatever reason. What am I looking for here? Yeah, come on. So let me just see how GUI button. So you can also have an icon. That's interesting. So I guess that's just different ways of generating the user interface. All right, fine. So I'm wondering if I can use this, because clearly this is going to detect when this is over an area. Let me see if that works for a box too. So let's come back to our script over here. So that makes a button. Display the... Oh, okay, so then GUI label, new rectangle, and then GUI dot tooltip. Wait, and then how is this called? So this is creating a label, new rectangle, I get that, and then it's calling the tooltip for it? So that must be what this is set over here. Okay, interesting. So if in theory I have another button, nope, this button doesn't do anything. And we're gonna, so this should be the size and this should be the position. So I'm gonna just move this down to 40. Weird. I clearly did something wrong here. Let's just make this 80. Or is that the size? Oh, I think that's the size. Hold on. Let's make this, we'll make this 30 just to be safe. Okay. Button, GUI label. And let's move this down to say, I don't know, 60? Might as well make this larger, because we're not doing anything in the 3D spacer right now. Alright, that's working. Button doesn't do anything. Oh, you know what? I think... Yeah, there's a comma here. So, that is what's displayed on the button. This is the actual tooltip. That, I think, is defined back in... Yeah, okay, so that's what this is, that's why those are, blah, blah, blah. That's why there's a comma here. So these are passing in the two different parameters for the function. GUI content. Yeah, the text contain, and then the tooltip of the element. So if I wanted to have more properties for that function, we could also put it in image. We're not gonna muck around with that quite yet. Let me see here. Alright, so we're going to say, put a comma, don't click. Okay, that should work. Fingers crossed. Reference script behavior is missing. What? I mean, this does work. Oh, I guess it just took a second to update. Alright. So, I think the only reason this is getting cut off over here is because the label's not fit for that. But okay. Okay. So... that works. So I'm wondering if... How do I use this, though? So in other examples, we've put an if statement in front of a button to have it do stuff. Let me see if I can pull that back up, because I want to take another look at that. Got so many tabs up right now. GUI API. Yes. That's the tooltip we were looking at. Let me go back to GUI here. So I'm going to move this back over here. Alright, so what am I looking for here? Background color. No, let's look at button real quick. Yeah, so they actually put this in as if the button is clicked. Then we just go to debug.log. So I'm wondering if... will that actually work for the GUI label over here? Because it's... let me see here. Come here. It depends on what type it is. Because they just put that in there, so... I don't know. We're going to see. It's probably not going to work. It was a long shot. So what type is this? Still void. Okay. So it doesn't return anything specific. Huh. Man, just one thing I wanted to do. I just don't want the user interface to be clicked. Why is it so hard? Ugh. All right, let's see what else we can work with, though. Again, I can try using a button. I mean, that will work. Create a box on the GUI layer. So that's originally our box there. The GUI content does work. I think the problem is that the buttons will will naturally detect if you hover over them. I think that's just built into the code. The box does not appear to have that functionality, which I find to be really weird. Let's see here. So many things. Take a look at the box again. I know I've got a million things going over here. So that's container, GUI handler. Have I looked at event yet? I don't know why I'm going back over to box. This also has text, image, and tooltip for this box. This also has a tooltip, though. Hold on. Alright, so I'm going to just hide this button for right now. Let's create a GUI.box, and we're going to say new box. Is that how we do it? New, or is it new rectangle? Box rectangle position. So it is GUI.box though. You know what? I'm gonna move this over to the side. I know you can't see it, but I have multiple displays. Might as well take advantage of it. GUI box. Didn't I do something like that before? Oh, hold on. That's right. I forgot. I already created a thing over here. So I might as well reuse this. Let me actually just comment out this bit. So basically what I've done over here, and I was experimenting around with this earlier, is I did create a box that basically will, I need to make sure that this is available. Essentially what this code does down here is it creates a new box, and essentially it's going to set it to the screen width minus the width of the rectangle, just to make sure that it is lined up on the edge of the screen. So just to show you what that looks like. So these are the two positions. Then the width of the rectangle I have set to a variable, and then it's just set to the screen height because I for the actual length, because I want it to be the full length. So let me show you what that looks like. I will actually hide. Can I'm just gonna turn this off, I guess. So we'll disable that for right now. Error? What do you mean error? Maybe I didn't save? Oh, this is not defined. Whoops. So I gotta comment out that too. Ah, what's going on? Okay, so that goes to that. That's fine. That should be fine. What, Unity, what's up? What are you talking? Cursor. What, now you giving me an issue with this? Ay vey. I guess it doesn't like using the on GUI and the other stuff. It wasn't giving me that error before, though. I thought I could use both. Yeah, there's two different cursor types. Ugh, alright, hold on. So you know what? If I can get the functionality I need, I really don't care what, I really don't care if I have to redo this, because this is only changing what the cursors look like. So the thing that I care about right now is functionality. So I'm gonna just comment it all out. And then I guess I have to comment this out so there's no confusion. Oh, this is turning into a nightmare. Oh, why? Okay. I may copy this to another script in a minute because this is getting ridiculous. Let me just see over here. Mono behavior could not be found. What are you talking about? Does it do... I guess I need to leave that. No, stop it. Oh, why did I close? Oh, weird. Alright. Okay, it liked it. Alright, yeah, so you can see over here that I've got this rectangle popping up. So now, according to our script, I can add in a tooltip here. So say, this is the area where you can't place tiles. And I should be able to use a GUI label here. In theory, right? If this works with the tooltip, it should be detecting when that's over the area. GUI label, new rectangle. This should be... We're going to make this a little bit larger. Uh-oh. Unable to find style. This is the area where you can't place tiles in game skin repaint. What? Oh, hold on. GUI. Oh, I need a thing here. So GUI, that's the button, and then new GUI content. Right. Okay, so this is not gonna work the way it is. Cool. So then I need new GUI content. Oh, does this not work for boxes? Oh, it's probably spelled wrong too. That's the button there. Well, let me go back to content equals new GUI content. This is a box. Void on GUI. Oh, interesting. They actually define it elsewhere. I'll pull this over. So basically what they're doing here is that they are setting the content to a new GUI thing separately. It's actually defined elsewhere. For some reason, you can put that in with the button, but not the box. So I need another line here. So yes, honk. Void start. Oh, this is becoming a nightmare, guys. Let's see here. Content. We're gonna just copy this. Equal. No. Content equals. Oh, would you stop with the autocorrect? Content. I swear to. Equals. Thank you. New GUI. Content. Looks like this is a box. Interesting. I don't know what. Whoop. So we've got, this is a box texture, and this is a tooltip. So what does it mean? GUI content. So I think, so obviously that's for a texture, but I just want the tooltip for right now. I don't know, we'll put it all in and we'll just see. I don't know, we'll see what happens. It should detect that these are both strings, so this is the area. I don't know. I'm just going to copy this right now. Is a, I don't know why I didn't copy and paste tooltip. Tooltop. And then instead of new GUI content, so we've got this. We should be able to put in content here. Right, content equals new GUI content. This is a box. Why are you giving me an error? The name content does not exist in the current context. Oh, I have to declare what type of item this is. GUI content equals content. No, stop it. Oh. Visual Studio, I love how you try to help, but you're not helping! Is that not what you want? Well, let me just save it real quick. Oh, it should be, that should work. GUI content, content. Oh, there's no equals. Sorry, it's just declaring a variable. Or a class, rather. There we go. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Don't you dare give me an error. Don't you dare. Okay, did that work or not? Okay, so that's working. Okay, and this is a box. All right, so it replaced my disable over here. So if I take this out, will that still do the tooltip, or will that replace my text? Let's find out. Yeah, okay, great. So instead of... alright. Can I just do that? Can I trick it into not having any string in there? Will that work? I doubt it. Let's see what happens. Hey, okay. So, that'll work. Okay, cool. Alright, well, at least I know for a fact that this is detecting when my mouse is over that area. So now I gotta somehow grab that. Oh, what do you want? What do you want, Unity? What do you want from me? The reference... Oh, I didn't click. Sorry. It's a good idea to stop your game, update your code, save it, and then let it load. It's very important. Okay, cool. So we clearly detect when we're over here. So I think what we need to do going forward is somehow grab that information. I wasn't sure if this would even pick it up before. Because right now you can obviously still click here. So if there's a way that I can snag that little bit of info, I should be able to basically just say in my other program, if the mouse is detected here, don't place a tile. That's pretty straightforward to do with an if statement, but it's just figuring out how to get that information that is a bit of a pain in the tuchus. And I think that's going to take a little bit more digging on my end. I'm making progress, but it's really slow. So I'm going to just switch back to this screen for just 2 seconds. I also realized my music went elsewhere, but that's okay. So, okay. Unity, why? Why you do this to me? So thank you for hanging in there. I know programming is not the best thing to do, but I'm just, like I said, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so I would normally do something a little bit more creative and fun to look at, either work on the Harry Potter RPG or some modeling or something, but I just did not have it in it for, today. So thank you for bearing with me. Hopefully this was interesting to watch. I'm going to continue working on this and promoting and doing updates on my channel and all that stuff. But if you have like any suggestions on like what kind of stuff you'd like to see in this program, let me know. That'd be really cool. And again, my name is Nick. If you are interested in taking classes with us, whether it's about Unity, game design, or something else like photography, film editing, all that good stuff, we run a bunch of different courses, and summer camps are starting very soon. You can go to our website, thedae.com. You can go and check out our full listings there. We have a very detailed list of what software you need. We also have tech help if you need help installing stuff. It's a very easy process. You can even book a time to sit down with our CEO, Rob, and he can take you through and help you out as well. If you have any questions, you can reach us at the info box. We're also having an open house next Tuesday for digital drawing and graphic design sort of related classes. You can come and check out and see what some potential projects are. So I definitely encourage you to come by and brain. You had a sentence and then you lost it. So I encourage you to stop by and check it out. But I think that's all I'm going to do today. I'm pretty wiped out. So thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Have a good Friday, guys.